Hey everyone, it's Jocelyn here at Oak and Marlow. I wanted to go through a quick tutorial today to show you how I embroider the beak and eyes onto my crochet chickens. Mabel Chicken has become a really popular crochet pattern. You can pick up this pattern at oakandmarlow.com or in my Etsy shop. I hope you'll enjoy this tutorial, and if you're looking for more crochet videos, check out my YouTube channel. But for now, let's get to it. All right, so for this next step, I'm going to take this yarn and just let it hang out for a bit while we work. Take that off of my yarn needle, and I'm going to go ahead and put the beak yarn on. So this is going to be doubled over in half. So you're going to be working with the two strands. I like to just try to get them even so we can use every last bit. And we're going to be inserting our needle into the front of the little chicken face here to make the beak. I like to start with the beak because you can get it all centered and aligned with the tail and then work from there to make the eyes. So I like to go ahead, it is going to go into round 11. So remember, this last round is round 12 and it goes into the top of round 11. Okay, or it can go kind of at round 11. So I'm going to go ahead and carefully, kind of looking back, insert my yarn and leave a little tail so we can knot inside. And I'm going to go across here about one stitch and keep checking to make sure you're aligned with the tail. Don't pull too tight when you're doing this step, because if you do need to adjust it, if it's not quite centered, you can do so much easier with yarn that's not pulled super tight and knotted. So I'm going to just pull that, kind of pull each strand. You can go through and you can do another round if you like. I like a little tiny beak, and that looks fairly centered, but actually if you look, it's not quite. So that's okay. I'm going to show you. So because we haven't knotted, it pulls out nice and easy. I'm going to go ahead and just insert again. I'm going into the same space, but I'm actually going to go over a little bit further just to center that better. Oh, and we're twisted, so you want to untwist if you can. There we go. Got a nice centered little beak. Okay, so once that's centered, you can go ahead and grab all 4 of these strands. You've got 2 from this part and 2 from this part, and we're going to knot them. If you knot them tight, it'll pull that beak tighter and make it a little smaller. So just be careful and be aware of that. It depends on the look that you'd like. And we'll trim that. And that's just going to get tucked inside the body. But we've got our beak formed, and we will go ahead and move on to the eyes. All right, so we've got our yarn here on the needle for the eyes. I do like to work with a single strand of yarn for the eyes. So I've just got it looped over a little here, and I've got my single strand ready to go. So again, I start from the back of the face, okay? And the eyes are to sit at the top. That's round 11, right? And round 12. So the top of round 12, approximately 1, maybe 1.5 stitches from the beak itself. You can play around with the placement. It just changes the look of the chicken in the end. So whatever makes you happy, you have to make sure it's right for you. So the trick to doing the stitches for the eyes is you can feel that there are big spaces between these stitches here. If you put your yarn needle just into one of these open spaces, it can sometimes make the eye more of a slit. It can be kind of pulled tight and not shaped nicely. So what I like to do is kind of get into these spaces that are actually, they're kind of between stitches. So there's some yarn kind of being pulled tight against itself in between these spaces. So I'm going to actually insert, they're like a tight spot. I'm going to insert my needle into one of those tight spots. So if you kind of give it a wiggle, you can feel that it's grabbed on to a tighter spot. Yep, so that's nice and tight. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that through, and again, leave a little tail so you can tie that up. Okay, and then very close to that, not into the same spot, but very close, we're going to insert again and go back into the head. And you'll see it's got a little thing there, little eye. It's very tiny. But we're going to go through 3 times or so into that tight spot again. And we'll go through a few times. So there's one there. And I'm going to say let's stop there. Don't pull too tight or you'll lose it into this sort of fuzzy thick texture of this yarn. So I'm going to go ahead and knot that one off. And we'll tuck that in. Oh, we kind of lost that eye a little bit. It's still there. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and make the next one. So same thing, I'm going to look for a snug spot. There's one there. And these eyes take practice. They're not always going to look perfect. You're embroidering with quite thick yarn. And so there's a little bit less control when you're doing things like this. So just know that it can take some time. Clearly, I'm actually going to probably go back and put another little stitch in that one to just fill it out a bit. They are going to have character. Just remember that. So there's the second eye. And you can see it does kind of form a little line sometimes. Don't worry about that too much. I'm going to go through and do 3 stitches for this one. And so I'll go ahead and knot that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this, and I'm actually going to go ahead and remove this one only so that I can show you how we can also use safety eyes if you prefer. For little ones, if you're selling these at a market or giving them to someone maybe under 3 years old, the embroidered eyes are really ideal. The plastic eyes are super cute. I really like the look of them, but it just depends on kind of who your market is, what look you like, and if you are, willing to kind of maybe let people know if they're giving them to children that they do have safety eyes, which are technically safe. They do have a little piece at the back, but they absolutely could fall out and cause a choking hazard. So just something to keep in mind. All right, so on my chicken here, I've got one embroidered eye, and then I've got a little space here so I can show you how to use a plastic safety eye. So with these safety eyes, there's 2 pieces. There's the little main part of the eye that shows at the front, and then there's a backing that gets clipped on, and that holds it on. So one important thing with plush yarn projects mostly, especially on this particular project, because we've used a larger hook, a size 8 hook, we've got these kind of gapier spaces where this kind of thing could come through. So we want to make sure that it's secured really well. So just like we did on this eye here, and we were looking for those tight spaces between stitches, we're going to do the same thing with this plastic eye. So instead of just kind of shoving it through a big open space, we're going to kind of feel for a tight, snug spot where we've got kind of a knot between layers there. So you just want to make sure you've really got it in a good spot. You may have to kind of adjust where you've decided to place your eye just so that you've got a good secure spot for it. So I like that spot there. It's nice and secure. It's actually lined up quite nicely with this little eye here. So once you've got that placed, you can flip it over inside. Whoops. And you're going to grab your backing, and you're going to actually just put it over that little end and clip it on. So now you've got your little plastic eye there. So it's very cute. It picks up the light, and I think they're really sweet. But again, just keep in mind kind of who your market is. If you're giving these to little ones, you're going to want to stick with an embroidered eye. I hope you enjoyed this video today. Learning the basics is an important step in making your very own plush crochet projects. These beautiful pieces are perfect for gifting or selling at markets. For more crochet basics videos, check out my YouTube channel, and feel free to check out my website at oakandmarlowe.com for more easy and beginner-friendly crochet patterns and inspiration. Thank you so much for joining me. Happy making, and we'll see you next time.